Chapter 5. Well, that's new. Duncan POV. This battle was not going as well as I wanted. With all the Grey Wardens in one area, the Dark Spawn would come to us. With my ability to sense the Dark Spawn, I knew they were heading this way, but to see them was a different story. There had to be thousands, tens of thousands. They looked like a wave of death that would leave no survivors. I saw the hesitation on King Kaelin's face. War has no glory, only danger and death. Even the Maker made an appropriate mood setting with the massive storm overhead. It was hard to see the Mabari charge. I knew that they would not survive, but King Kaelin believed it would be a good show of Ferelden pride and power. Their whimpers will stay with me for a long time if I survive this battle. The charge was intense. There were so many people and Dark Spawn fighting that if you missed your initial target, you would hit someone else's. The Dark Spawn didn't care. They just kept swinging until they killed what was in front of them. I stuck close to the king. I couldn't leave him lest he died and throw Ferelden's royal line into chaos. I don't want to reveal Alistair's bloodline. Who knows the political shit storm that would cause, and add a blight, Ferelden may fall in on itself, and without their help to fight the Dark Spawn, Ferelden will become a staging ground for a long drawn-out war with the Dark Spawn. The heat from the Mage's fire had me drenched in sweat, and my sword arm was getting tired after my 40th Hurlock. There is no end to them. Not even the Deep Roads had this many last time I was there. How long has the Archdemon been preparing this army, or have there always been this many just hiding in the underground roads? Duncan, it's almost time. Are the Wardens in place? King Kaelin screamed next to me as he sliced a Gerlock's head from their body. They should be, as long as there have been no complications. They should be at the top. I could barely hear myself. The clashing of this many blades was deafening. Order it. And I did. Sending a signal to the soldiers on the bridge, they ran off to light the signal where Alistair could see. It will take a few minutes to light with this rain and a few more minutes for Loghain to arrive. So make sure not to overextend yourself. This fight's far from over. I parried a sword strike from Hurlock and stabbed it with my dagger. The fight continued like this for 20 more minutes, forcing us farther down the gorge. What is taking him so long? I took a moment to look over at the tower. It was blazing bright, so where was Loghain? The storm was getting worse and lightning was falling around us. The thunder was drowning out the cries of battle, and the rain made the ground impossible to gain traction. I grunted as an Alpha Hurlock's mace hit me on my breastplate, knocking me back and stealing my breath. This is getting hairy. I heard a cry of pain to my left and spotted King Kaelin on his back covered in blood. I wasn't sure if it was his or not. Dodging the Hurlock's attack and jamming my sword through its neck, I left it behind as I rushed to the king's side. He looked okay, just had his breath knocked out of him. Ow, Duncan, what's taking so long? That's a good question. Even if the battlefield has hard terrain, they should have been here by now. The weight in my gut, since this battle began, is now feeling like an anvil. I lifted Kaelin and got back into formation with the rest of the Wardens. Wall, I ordered. The rest of the Wardens closed ranks. It wouldn't last forever, but it would give us a few seconds to catch our breath and rejoin the battle. I could feel the Archdemon. It was waiting for something. Then it hit me. It's waiting for us to die. But how does it know we could kill it? There's nothing written about that in the archives at Weishaupt. But that doesn't matter anymore, in the midst of fighting for our lives. All that matters is escaping, and in that moment an arrow passed the wall and slammed through my shoulder, dropping me to my knees. I let out a small growl. Ow! I saw another heading straight for my face. Damn! Only for Kaelin to parry it with his sword. He looked just like his father. Duncan, it's no time to be taking a nap. He barked. I yanked the arrow from my shoulder and downed a health potion. Right. Ogre, screamed Creel, because my day couldn't get any better. The other Dark Spawn moved out of its way, giving it a path to trample us. Hold, wait until it gets close, then brake at the last moment, letting it through, and we cut it as it runs past. It let out a monstrous roar and charged. We only had one chance at this. Open up too soon and it could slow and change directions, too late and it will crush everyone holding the line. It didn't get 10 steps before something from the sky crushed it into the ground, turning it to mush, throwing mud everywhere. Everything froze, even the dark spawn that were waiting for our grisly demise, just stood there. Just for a moment, the battlefield was quiet, I could hear my own breath, and I sounded rough. Then the whole exploded out, revealing a 9-foot metal knight without a single speck of dirt or blood. "Please remain calm, we are here to help." And with those words, the battlefield jumped back into action. A Hurlock rushed the knight only for the knight to swing its fist so fast that when it made contact with the Hurlock's head it exploded. "Please remain calm, we are here to help." "We?" Kalen asked, and as if the Maker was listening, more and more objects fell from the sky, crushing dark spawn where they landed and growing into more knights, thirsting for dark spawn blood. They made it look easy. I saw them rip a genlock in half like it was fresh bread. "Duncan, who are these people?" "I don't know, but we need to leave. We're still outnumbered and injured. Backward retreat. Whatever these things are, they gave us a way out." As a group, we slowly began moving backward with our shields pointed forward. This was extremely tricky. The retreat was one of the most difficult strategies to implement. If someone made a break for it, it could cause a chain reaction, causing everyone to run, leaving our backs to the dark spawn. At that point, it would be considered suicide as the dark spawn peppered us with arrows. Duncan above us. For a moment I feared the dark spawn had laid an ambush. Looking up, ready to kill any dark spawn who had the guts. Instead, I was left in shock. There was an island floating above the battlefield, dropping more knights. Ogres. In front of us were more ogres. This time, 4 of the brutes were rushing us, with a single-minded devotion to turning us into warden soup. 6 giant knights broke their killing of dark spawn and rushed the ogres, but while killing the smaller dark spawn was easy, these brutes were able to ward them away. The knights were able to catch the attention of 2 of them, but the other 2 were now unimpeded and rushing right towards us. Just when it looked like we were going to have to break our wall to fight them, a boulder the size of a cart slammed in front of us, blocking the creatures. The boulder began to shake. Impossible, and it turned into a huge 25-foot golem. "Please evacuate this area, there are dangerous elements here." It sounded just like the knights, but louder. "Duncan, is that a golem?" Kalen sounded awestruck. "Your Majesty, not now. We need to go." I had no idea what was happening, but now was not a good time to discuss it. The humongous golem gave us the perfect exit. It would take at least 5 ogres to make it fall. It will give us enough time to make a full retreat. "Fall back," I said. "Fall back. Full retreat. Back out the gorge," and I didn't finish as the floating island made a turn in the sky, moving back to the tower and towards the end of the gorge. "I guess we're about to see whoever that is and if they really are going to help." Quickly to the island. It's moving to the end of the gorge. We'll use it to escape. / Nick POV. "So, are you just going to lay there all day?" I asked with a smirk. "There sure are more wardens than I remember, and what are the Hawk brothers doing here?" They all looked at me like I was some crazy, ugly abomination. "Is it the eyes?" They started glowing when I passed through the veil. I got a prompt telling me that I had entered a low magical pressure zone. Mother Base nearly launched itself into space. It turns out that the veil is causing a bubble-like effect that covers theaters, pushing magic away. It's like a submarine keeping a magic-free zone inside. Mother Base had the magic equivalent of the bends. I had to slowly lower the output of power so I could lower us into theaters. Our magic acted weird too. I got a prompt telling me that my magic core expanded throughout my body. I guessed that with the magic pressure no longer affecting me, my core would get bigger. No doubt when we left theaters my core would shrink back down. Still, though, it had the side effect of giving my eyes a slight glow, not enough to impair me, but definitely enough to give people the willies. Land isn't supposed to fly. Wow, that dwarf had some lungs on her. She was gripping the ground as if her life depended on it. Looks like she's the commoner dwarf warden, especially with that tattoo on her face. looking over to the other 4, who were also holding the ground, well, except the dog, who mind you was taking this in stride. Dogmeat seemed to handle that introduction better than I did. He even led her to his T-Rex bone, showing off. "Keep it in your pants, dog boy." "Who are you?" screamed the male warden, who I guess was the noble because of the armor. I probably shouldn't assume that. This isn't a game, who knows who that guy is? He could be a master assassin for all I knew. "Why are you screaming?" I yelled back at them. They clearly heard me when I was talking normally. Why are they screaming? Why are you screaming? Alistair sassed me at full volume. "Do you want me to kick you off?" "No. I'm sorry," he apologized. "Okay, now stop screaming and get up off the floor," I said at room volume. "You all look ridiculous. Now come on, there's a bunch of soldiers on the ground, and if we don't go get them, they're probably going to die. Even with my new 9-foot steel golems, I doubt they would last forever." I started walking back to the house. "Wait, hold a moment," Alistair screamed. "Who's on the ground? I told you to stop screaming. What's wrong with you?" I knew that in the games he could be a little slow, but come on. I sighed. "I'll let it go. He did just jump off a tower, onto a flying island." "I don't know them," I lied, "but one of them is wearing some kind of golden armor." "Which is ridiculous. I mean, who wears such bright colors to a battle?" "That's the king." The male warden continued to scream on the ground. "That can't be right. Aren't these guys the front line? Only a crazy king would lead from the front like that." I never really understood why Kaelin insisted on being on the front lines. "You're the goddamn king. Just be at the battle, and after the battle's finished, say you were in the front lines. Who's gonna fecking call you out on that?" "Nobody, that's who." "Thank you," screamed the dwarf. Seems like she had the same thought. "Would you, please, stand up and stop screaming?" I kept walking towards the house. The first one to get up was the quiet elf, and quickly helped the others up and moved toward the house. "Julie, how's our speed?" "We'll be at the Gorge's exit in 30 seconds, Jackie's already downstairs." "The runners should be there in less than 3 minutes at their current speed," she answered from the controls. That's when the others walked into the house. "We have a bogey overhead." "Dragon?" I asked. Everyone stopped and stared at Julie in confusion and a little fear. "No, it's a bird. A big bird. Must be Flemeth. Keep an eye on it. If it tries anything funny, blast it." She nodded, looking over the controls. "You have a demon in your house." Carver screamed, backing away, as everyone looked on edge. Julie laughed. "Boy, your ignorance is showing. You should cover that up," I said. "She's a tiefling." "Run, Bez," Julie corrected. "Whatever, they come from the northern continent of Rezum," I explained. "But she looks like a demon," he reiterated. "Yeah, and you look like a tall dwarf, but you don't see me calling you out." Julie snipped. "Burn," said the elf. "I like him." Carver looked like he was slapped with a dead fish. "If we're finished making fun of that young boy." "Never," yelped Julie. "We should really go get your friends before they're killed and eaten by the undead or whatever the feck those things are." I finish, ignoring Julie's outburst. That regained all their attention. "Where do we go?" asked Alistair, getting over Julie's appearance first. "Downstairs," I answered, opening the door and began going down. "Please tell me you're not going to take us to your killing room." Alistair joked. "Okay, first of all, why would I have one of those? I would kill you up top and dump your body over the edge, less cleanup. And second, why would I have something like that on my cool flying island? It sounds like a hassle to clean. No, I'll kill you outside in the most dramatic fashion I can think of while saying cool lines, and before I finish you off, I'll exclaim that I was your father all along." The dwarf just looked at me like I was crazy. "But I'm a dwarf," she said. "Yes, but if you survive, it will feck you up good." I laughed. "Genius," the elf commented. "See, he gets it." The male warden just sighed. "Oh my damn, I haven't introduced myself. Name's Nick Walters, super mage, golem maker, homeowner, at your service." I waved without looking back at them. I have a deadline to make, emphasis on the dead. If I keep Duncan and Kalen on the ground they'll die. They were awestruck at my engine room, as they should be. I've been working on it, now everything has a protective layer of bulletproof glass. So, not only will it be protected, but I could see if there were any problems. I also added some lights to spruce up the place. I can't shock and awe people in the dark. There you are, Jackie called out. Everyone froze again, cutting it a bit close. They're at the home stretch. A wizard is never early or late, they're always right on time. She rolled her eyes. Yeah, but you're not a wizard, are you? You're a sorcerer, so, try and make it 5 minutes early. She corrected. I laughed. 2 demons, Carver whispered. Boy, your ignorance is still showing, have some shame. I just gave you the towel of knowledge, but here you are, whipping it out and waving it around like it's something to be proud of. Who taught you your manners? They would be ashamed. The older Hawk brother just nudges him. Carver, these people just saved our lives, be polite. He hissed at him. Carver just looked at the floor a little red-faced. Well, he's not entirely wrong. Thanks to Gran I'm in line to inherit the Underland. Everyone looked at her. What? I'm only 57,597 in line, but it does look good on a resume. So, wait, are you a demon? Asked Alistair, looking a little nervous. Devil, there's a huge difference between the two. A demon is a spirit that has been changed from what was its original purpose. For example, if a spirit of compassion is forced to do things against its nature such as violence and pain, it will then change into a spirit of rage. Devils are living beings with souls, if leaning toward the naughty parts of life. She explained. So, you're like elves, dwarves, and humans, just not them. You're a new people, Alistair said, trying to make sense of what she said. Yeah, you got it. Jackie nodded, happy that Alistair got it. He gained a proud look on his face. Okay, if the explanations are done, we really need to get these guys. I walked over to the ramp. Jackie, roast any zombie freak that gets close. Boys, secure the landing zone. The men looked confused. Ah, us? Asked the older Hawk. No, them. I pointed to the wall where 4 9-foot earth golems morphed out. Whoa, Hawk whispered. On my mark, the ramp began to lower. Mother Base didn't land, only hovering low enough for the ramp to be about a foot off the ground. The first thing we saw was Duncan and the King, along with about 15 people hauling ass toward us. Behind them was an army of pissed-off Darkspawn nipping at their heels. Mark, the G-Boys jumped into action, rushing past the King and Warden Commander and slamming into the Darkspawn, stopping them cold. Jackie sent huge bolts of chain lightning, killing Darkspawn 3 at a time and paralyzing 5 more per bolt. The soldiers didn't even give us a once-over and ran up the ramp. Julie, we got them. Move us out. Return. I ordered my golems. I have sacrificed enough in this battle. The golems broke combat and morphed back into the base. As we kept rising off the ground, some Darkspawn began to pepper us with arrows, but Mother Base's magic shield simply battered them away. As we got higher up in the sky, we got a good view of what was left of Ostagar. What a shit show. Everything was on fire, Darkspawn everywhere, and Loghain and his men were long gone. At least we got the King and Duncan. Hopefully, we could still stop the civil war before it happens. I turned to the group of soldiers, who looked like hell cometh over. They were lying on the floor breathing heavily as if they looked around in awestruck. Good, that means my lights were doing their job. I looked over at Duncan. Human sword master. Duncan, son of Aaron. Age, 49. LVL, 40. HP 137 hundredths. MP 5 fifths. Street, will give you a good beating. V, has the taint, it will kill him. Dex, he's the hidden tiger. Int, knows when to trust. Wis, retreat is a viable strategy. Char, a man in a uniform. Luck, tends to be in the wrong place at right the time. Ailments. Controlled tainted. 2 broken ribs. Exhaustion. Internal bleeding. Duncan was born in High Ever, but spent his childhood between Orlice and the Free Marches. His mother Tiana was from Ravan, while his father Aaron was a Ferelden carpenter with Tevinter origins. After the death of his parents, he was forced to become a thief to survive on the streets of Val Royeaux. He's unnerved by your stare. One of the first things I did with my points was add 50 out of my 176 into charisma, because I still remember the number 1 rule in life. Beautiful people can get away with anything. Unfortunately, according to Jack and Julia, not much has changed about me. Nothing really stood out as handsome. But when I was observing things, my thirsty face disappeared. Unfortunately, it was replaced with this angry face, and my glowing eyes, which tend to freak people out. It's not you. I have magic that can give me information on people, I explained. Duncan's magic is rock bottom. Even the villagers at Bassville had more than him. Is this the Vale's doing? I looked over to the elf mage. Elf sorcerer. Theron Mahariel. Age, 22. LVL, 26. HP 200 and 360ths. MP 100 and 250ths. Street, he needs to gain weight. V, has the taint, it will kill him. Dex, does morning stretches. Int, knows when words are needed. Wis, knows that words are dangerous. Char, ladies like the silent type. Luck, he's a hero. Ailments. Controlled tainted. Sore muscles. 2 broken knuckles. Small concussion. He is an elf from a Dalish clan who roams free in the forest, seeking to recover the lost lore of ancient Elfhenen. Many of them look down on the flat ears, the city elves who live trapped in poverty and high-walled alienages amongst the Shemlen, the humans or quick children. He doesn't care where you're from, as long as you're not a dick. He hopes you may have found an ancient elven flying castle. See, that's new, in-game. The mage, elf or not, all came from the Circle of Maggie. And his MP is so low, maybe it's the gamer, but I started at 50 MP, Jack had 400 MP at level 15. Could this be the Vale in action, making sure that no mage can ever reach the level of the elven mages of old? Solus really messed with a lot of people if true. I then looked at the king. Human king. King Cailan Terran. Age, 25. LVL, 29. HP 9500ths. MP 25/25ths. Street, pumps iron. V, has the taint, it will kill him. Dex, limber. Int, understands that the Grey Wardens are important during a blight. Wis, doesn't listen to his military advisor. Char, married man. Luck, he makes his own luck, not always good though. Ailments. Tainted. 4 broken ribs. Internal bleeding. 3 broken fingers. Concussion. Exhausted. Cailan Terran, born 905 Dragon, son of King Marek Terran and Queen Rowan Garin, became the king of Ferelden after the sudden disappearance of his father in 925 Dragon. During the opening stages of the Fifth Blight in 930, he has been sitting on the throne for 5 years, alongside his wife Queen Anora MacTyr, daughter of the hero Loghain MacTyr. He feels unnerved by your stare. Ah, shit, you have the blight. He looked shocked by my statement. What? Duncan and Alistair said at the same time. I walked over to him and began healing him. He looked ready to move away, but arms appeared under him holding him in place. Stand still, I'm trying to stop it from spreading. Duncan tried to get to me, but Jackie stopped him before he could reach me. What are you doing to him? He worriedly asked. Calm your tits, Duncan. That had him stop trying to get past Jack. I haven't given you my name. No, which is rude by the way. I have the ability to gain information from people with my magic. Remember, the whole glowing eye thing. Through that whole explanation I still healed Cailan. I wanted to see if I could heal the blight before it took a stronghold. He was visually becoming healthier and stronger. The scars he gained through the battle slowly knitted themselves back together, and his limp slowly went away, regaining some stability. Kalen Terran has multiple ailments. What do you wish to heal? Tainted 100 MP 102 MP 104 MP 106 MP. I immediately healed it. I then moved out of the way as he projectile vomited black sludge. We all just looked at him. How are you feeling, golden boy? I asked, moving over to the next person with the taint that didn't have Grey Warden armor, and began healing him. 1 dirk of high ever. He threw up as well. Jackie, can you burn that? I don't care if you leave a scorch mark. I don't want it on Mother Base. Thank you. I moved to the next guy who had the blight. In the end, I had 4 dudes throwing up their dinner on my floor. I looked over to the male warden. Human warrior. Aiden Koosland. Age, 24. LVL, 25. HP 204 hundredths. MP 5/5. Street, pumps iron. V, has the taint, it will kill him. Dex, he's built to take hits, not dodge them. Int, knows that revenge never ends well. Whis, but he doesn't care. Char, witches love him. Luck, he's a hero. Ailments. Controlled tainted. Bruised ribs. Exhausted. Small concussion. Sore. The Kooslands have stewarded the lands of High Ever for many generations, dating even to before Ferelden's first king was crowned. They have persevered so long because of their reputation for justice and temperance, as well as their willingness to lead men into battle. He is now the unofficial leader of the Koosland clan, until his brother, Fergus, is found. He hates the Chantry for stealing his younger sister and telling him that she was born wrong, because she had magic. He promised himself that he would save her one day. He hopes to gain the ability to stare down his opponents like you do. So, some things are still the same. The Kooslands were still betrayed, and he was saved by Duncan. Aiden Koosland has multiple ailments. What do you wish to heal? Controlled tainted 2000 MP will add 2,000 every 2 years. Alternatively, you can invite him to a party, and after one night this ailment will be cured. You will not gain any express, this way. Bruised ribs 5 MP. Exhausted, rest. Small concussion 14 MP. Sore 1 MP, alternatively rest. After leveling up my medic skill, I can now see the alternatives to difficult ailments. Most involve inviting them to my party for a quick heal. I don't really want to do that because that would involve explaining what the gamer is and how I got here, and I didn't feel like doing that. Jack and Julia will be enough for me, for now. Though, I get to test that new tracker rune I placed on the navigation controls. Hold still, would ya? I then yanked a hair from his head, root and all. Ow, what was that for? I put it in a small tube from my inventory which, of course, freaked him out. I then passed it to him. Take this upstairs and hand it to Julie and tell her that you have a missing brother. She knows what to do, and if your brother is still alive, we will know where he is. He looked at me like I was crazy, well, crazier. That goes for the rest of you who are already healed. I don't need you guys touching anything. That means you too, King Boy, and don't touch that. He snapped his hand away from the rune on the wall. It's like having to look after a child. Aiden, take this man-child with you to the living room and sit him down on the couch. I grabbed Kalen and passed him to Aiden and pushed them back to the stairs. I'm a king, you know. I don't have to take that. I snapped my fingers and 2 hulking golems flanked me. But I will because I'm a good guest, he said, walking behind Aiden. Did you really have to do that? Duncan frowned at the way I treated the king. That man had the attitude of someone who has never been told. No, I answered. That's going to get him killed. In fact, it nearly did. He sighed. Still, he is a king, he said as I healed another soldier and sent him upstairs. Not in my house. In my house, he's a guest, and if I don't want him here, I'll kick him out. Without landing, that was another one healed. I sent him up as well. I'm happy most of these guys had minor wounds and my healing hand skill is so high. You would threaten the life of the king? He asked incredulously. What is a king, Duncan? but a man who has to sit in a chair and make decisions. I mean, anyone could do that, I said, observing Alistair. Human warrior, elf-blooded. Warden Alistair Terran. Age, 20. LVL, 26. HP 210 450ths. MP 25 25ths. Street, can give as good as he got. V, has the taint, it will kill him. Dex, can touch his toes. Int, him big and strong, brain no punch muscle, no need. Wis, best keep the fact that I'm the king's bastard to myself. Char, he has a pretty good smolder. Luck, he's a hero. Ailments. Controlled tainted. Sore. Bruised chest. Concussion. Alistair was born in 910 Dragon, possibly in Redcliffe Village or nearby. Alistair was raised by Al-Aman Garin of Redcliffe, brought up to believe that his mother was a serving maid who died in childbirth. As a child, Alistair worked as a stable boy. The Arl's wife, Alessa Isolde, suspected the reason her husband took an interest in the welfare of a servant's child was that Alistair was Aemon's son. Though her suspicions were unfounded, Aemon acquiesced when she demanded that Alistair be sent away to the Chantry. In 920 Dragon, Alistair was sent to the monastery at Bourneshire, where he was later recruited by Duncan. He's panicking about how you're looking at him. Duncan followed my line of sight and his eyes widened. How? This is the third time I tell you, Duncan. Very little can escape my sight. I reached out and began healing him. He had more health than most, but with my healing hands at such a high level, healing him was as easy as snapping my fingers. I took a long look at his ailments. Duncan has multiple ailments. What do you wish to cure? Controlled tainted 12,000 MP will add 2,000 MP every 2 years, alternatively adding him to your party group and heal him after a long rest, but you will not gain any express. 2 broken ribs 23 MP. Exhaustion. Rest. Internal bleeding 15 MP. I healed him of all his normal ailments. He took a deep breath. Looks like his broken ribs were pressing into his lungs, making it hard to breathe. Listen, I can cure the taint in your body, but you would need to keep a lot of my secrets and I don't know you very well. So, let's put a pin on this until the blight ends, okay? He looked shocked at the news of a possible cure to the blight. There's a good chance after the blight I'm going to Anderfalls to see if any of the more senior wardens would want to be cured. I would like to believe that they could keep a secret, but that's not here or there. For now, we have a blight to stop. Since you're the leader of these wardens, you can stay and watch over them as I heal. I walked over to Theron and began healing him. Where did you find this island? Theron asked. It seemed he wanted to make sure Mother Base was of his people before he made any demands. You like it? I made it myself. Took me about 3 months from planning to completion, but I like to think it came out beautifully. He looked disappointed. I guess he wanted to give this to his people. Can you make more? I shrugged at his question. Sure, but it will be expensive. While it's true that it only cost me about 25 gold coins to make. Duncan looked shocked at the relatively small amount. I did all of the rune work and engine that keeps this thing from falling. If I had to make one for someone else, you know I would make my service costly. Somewhere around the tens of millions. Naisha looked like she was about to have a heart attack at the possible number. Theron nodded. You're the only one who can make it. So you set your own prices. I nodded. What is stopping people from simply copying the runes and making their own? I laughed good and hard at that. He frowned at my action. Sorry, it's just that. I realized that you don't have many runes crafters in this continent, right? He nodded. Then allow me to explain. I grabbed a palm-sized rock from my inventory. I placed a small light rune on the rock. It slowly began to glow. I then pointed to the glowing rune. Now to make a rune you will need to know the 4 crucial steps. 1. You must know what the rune looks like when completed. 2. You must know where the line begins and where it ends. You cannot stop until you're finished, which will break the rune and make it non-functional. 3. The object you're using must be strong enough to handle the rune you place on it. If you place a fire rune on wood, expect the wood to burn out. 4. Power. You must know how much magic power the rune needs to work. Not enough and it will fail. Too much could cause an explosion. I said while pointing at the light rune on the rock. Due to your actions and efforts, you have made a new skill. Teaching. Focus. This will be on the test. The ability to impart knowledge to someone. Plus 10% to explaining your point. You are unskilled. Rank initiative. He nodded at my explanation. And this is a simple starting rune. Do this incorrectly and expect this to blow up in your face. I pointed to my magic engine. That is a journeyman level rune creation of my own design. It has approximately 142 different rune sentences. Some are layered over each other to amplify the rune under it. Can you imagine what would happen if someone without the knowledge of rune crafting tried to create this thing? It would explode in a way you could never understand. Imagine Denerim, wiped from the face of the planet in a snap of a finger. That is the power you're playing with. It takes people dozens of years of theory before they even think of making a rune. But you don't look a day over 30, Duncan said. I nodded. I'm special. As long as I know how the rune is made, my magic can copy it on any surface I want. I'm lucky like that, but I doubt you're as lucky. I finished healing Theron and sent him upstairs to the living room. Please make sure the king isn't playing with the runes. I then walked over to the small dwarf woman, or is she tall? It's hard to tell. Dwarf rogue. Naisha Broska. Age, 21. LVL, 27. HP 300 and 380ths. MP 5/5. Street, only fights dirty. V, has the taint, it will kill her. Dex, she already has your wallet. Int, understands that doing crimes is terrible. Wis, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to survive. Char, small. Luck, she's a hero. Ailments. Controlled tainted. Sore. Twisted ankle. Slight panic attack. As part of the castless, Naisha is extremely poor and has to run errands for the Carter boss, Barat, in order to stay alive. Naisha's sister Rika Broska also worked for Barat, but was trying to find a wealthy male suitor while Naisha had to do some of Barat's more unsavory tasks. She's scared of you but finds your golems to be super cool. I kneeled in front of her and looked into her eyes. I'm sorry that I scared you. From what I understand about dwarves here, is that they don't really live on the surface, and with how scared you were on the lawn, I got the idea that flying must be the most terrifying thing you can ever imagine. I feared she may have gotten traumatized by the experience. I mean the dwarves from Orzammar believe that you will fall into the sky if you ever leave the cave. The fact that she's on a flying piece of the earth would reaffirm many of those beliefs. I reached into my inventory and pulled out a small 1-foot magic redwood golem and handed it to her. Here, this little guy will help protect you from any fall damage. I placed a rune of feather fall on him, so if you fall from anything over 5 feet it will activate and slowly put you on the ground. The golem gave her a salute. She just looked at it in wonder. I observed her again. Dwarf rogue. Naisha Broska. Age, 21. LVL, 27. HP 380 380ths. MP 105 105ths. She still thinks you're scary, but you don't mean to be. Giving her the golem helped twofold. It helped her calm down and helped me see if dwarves can use magic. I sent her and her new golem up the stairs. That was kind. Duncan spoke next to me. I didn't come here to scare dwarves to death. I said healing the Hawk brothers and sending them up ahead. Then why are you here? Most people don't willingly go to a possible blight. He asked. Isn't it obvious, Duncan? I came to help. With that, I finished healing my last patient, Alistair, and began moving everyone up the stairs. Walking into the living room, I spotted Naisha sitting on my chair next to Kalen, who was sitting on Julie's chair, armor and all, sleeping the night away without a care in the world. The soldiers were well and truly unconscious. The only ones awake were the wardens, I'm not sure if it was from the blight in their blood that gave them more waking power or the adrenaline still pumping in their system, but they looked ready for action. I'm just happy I cleaned all the blood that they had stuck to them. Julie, you got a reading on this Fergus person? I called out, walking up next to her and Aidan, who was looking intensely at the world map, as if that would just magically give him his brother's location. Yes, but there's some kind of interference. The map is just giving me the general area he's at, she answered. Only someone with powerful magic could make a ward like that. The only mage I can think of to be able to do this would be Flemeth. Question is, why would she have him? I looked over at Aidan, who hadn't looked away from the map, trying to will it to pinpoint his brother. I turned and looked at the group. Do any of you know anyone out here who has any magical abilities? This person is probably using a concealment spell so the dark spawn won't find them. There was a small pause. Naisha snapped her fingers. That crazy witch in the woods. She called out. Aidan snapped at me. There were women in the woods. A mother and daughter. They did seem rather too relaxed for being in blight-infested woods. He recalled. They were in a small house next to a lake, Theron remembered. I would advise caution. The elderly woman was very powerful. I nodded. I started pressing runes that highlighted the water in the search area, and after following the trail the wardens were able to remember, we found the most likely area Fergus might be. Okay. Julie, keep Mother Base in the air. Aidan, Theron, Dogmeat, and I will use the Warthog to fly us down. I gave a sharp whistle and Dogmeat was at my side. Aidan and Theron followed me out the door and onto the lawn outside. It was always beautiful on the lawn when flying. Feck, it was beautiful at any time. The storm had faded to small clouds and the sun was beginning to rise. So how are we getting down? Asked Aidan, looking out into the endless morning horizon, and then down to the ground below, and took a single step away from the closest edge. The ground in front of the house began to lower and my M12 Warthog rose out of the hole. A horseless carriage. Hop on, I said, getting in the driver's seat. Aidan sat next to me and Theron took the seat behind him, and Dogmeat sat next to him with his head out the window, tail wagging. I pulled a black rune stone from my inventory and slotted it in a small hole where the ignition should be. Hey, you guys aren't scared of heights, are you? They both gave a non-committal shrug. Hey, you'll be fine. I started the engine and slammed on the accelerator, racing toward the far-off edge of Mother Base. Oh, you probably want to put on your seat belts. I screamed. I was just messing with them. The Warthog automatically puts on the seat belt for you when you reach a certain speed or if it falls more than 5 feet. Watching them panic was funny though. What are seat belts? No, wait, Aidan screamed. At that point, the edge was about 50 feet and they just gripped onto anything in hopes of not flying out of the car. 10 feet from the edge the seat belts spring out and tied us to our seats. They didn't notice as Aidan began screaming and Theron seemed to go into a catatonic-like state, and Dogmeat still happily waved his tail. Then, freefall. There is nothing like falling thousands of feet from the ground to get the blood pumping. After 100 feet, the wheels folded in on themselves and the runes of the rims activated, giving us lift and removing us from free fall slowly. At that point, Aidan had a death grip on the handlebar on his door and the other one on the dash. Theron was gripping onto Aidan's seat with a blank look on his face. Dogmeat was howling in joy. I laughed. What's wrong with you? I laughed harder. // Morrigan POV. Mother returned not long ago with a man. He seemed to be unconscious. She made me drag his useless body into my bed, of course. Why would she do anything? That's why you have children, she said. Laziness, I say. He looked familiar. Have I met him before? Girl, this man's brother will be here soon. And I care because he's the warden you met yesterday. Ah, that's why he looked so familiar. Do you have a schedule on when he will arrive? She shook her head. He travels with a mage with strange magic. That's interesting, a mage that has got Mother's attention. He must be powerful in some way. I'll try and get you to go with them. What? What? Why would I go with these strangers? Was it not you who warned me not to go with strange men? I snarked at her. Don't play games, girl, this man is different. I believe he comes from outside the continent. Outside the continent? I have never imagined someone like that would arrive here, especially in the middle of a blight. What can you tell me about this man? The more information I had, the easier I could integrate myself into this group. He is powerful in the ways of innovation. He is flying on an island that saved the king and the wardens. An island? Impossible. No mage could do such a thing. Surely, you jest. An island? I'm not a child, mother. She just laughed. And what do you know of the world, girl? You who lives in this forest your entire life. This world is bigger and madder than just that. I'm beginning to believe she has finally lost her mind. Maybe leaving with the warden, 'tis for the best. And what should I say to be invited into this group? In all honesty, seducing the human warden would be easiest. I'll just use him for some pleasure and he'll do whatever I want. Be polite. You do not know what that man may do if he found out you lied your way into his home, she warned. Oh, mother, men are simple folk. A little flirtation and they will do whatever I want. They come. She looked out into the distance. I tried to look at what she was looking at. I don't see them. I squinted, seeing if I could see them down the road. She laughed again. That laugh was testing my patience. Foolish girl, did I not just tell you they escaped on a flying island? And here you are looking at the ground. How you survived so long I will never know. I sighed and looked up. I couldn't see anything for a moment. I almost thought she was doing this to annoy me, but then I spotted a speck in the morning sky. What is that? Come, let's make a proper greeting. The speck only grew as time passed. Before it was the size of a fly, now it has grown to the size of a marble, and I can see small people pointing in my direction. I guess mother wasn't completely crazy. Mother, I believe they found us. Yes, I can see that girl. Would it kill her to say my name? And may the answer be yes. How is the man? He yet sleeps. I am unsure what happened to him, but it placed him in a deep sleep. 'Tis possible he has been cursed, but I sense no magic. Mother just laughed. No, he has been attacked and hit over the head. He will heal with time. Worry not. I guess you would know. That's how you get all your men. She smacked me on the back of my head. Ow, what was that for? This crazy old crone. I didn't like that look on your face. Go get eaten by a bear. I could now hear that flying contraption from where I was. It had a constant hum to it. What a strange thing it is. It lowered somewhere in the woods, but I could still hear it, and then it came roaring out of the woods on 4 wheels. The mud the storm left in its wake didn't slow or impair it in any way as it raced toward us. It came to a stop a few feet away from the entrance gate the ancient ruins were meant to represent. The human warden was the first to exit the vehicle, followed by the elf, who both looked like baby deer. The stranger mother warned me about was followed by a dog. The man waved his hand and the dog immediately perked up, sniffing the air and pointing directly at me. The man hummed. He gave me a look that froze my blood. It was like he was reading my soul. His eyes had this ghostly glow. Aidan, I believe his name was, walked up to me. Excuse me, Morrigan was it? I nodded. That man was still staring at me. I'm looking for a man. He looks a lot like myself, but a bit slimmer and has more facial hair. Yes, we found someone that matches that description. Came my mother's voice behind me. That is probably the first time in my life that I'm happy to hear her. The man's eyes fall away from me and land on mother. She took it in stride. In fact, she seemed to like the attention. Clearly, something about mother has the man on edge as well as his dog, who is now looking at her like she's the most dangerous thing in the forest. He was attacked by the dark spawn and rescued by the wilder folk. They brought him to me so I could heal him, but he has yet to awaken. Aidan's face was shifting through different expressions throughout her explanation. From happiness to fear to despair to hope. It was kind of interesting watching his handsome face take so many forms. Can we go see him? We have a healer. Aidan turned to the stranger, who just nodded. Mother led them into the house. The stranger never showed her his back. I'm beginning to believe this man is extremely paranoid. Even as he healed the man, he never looked away from my mother longer than a few seconds, and any time he did, the dog didn't. The injured man shot out of bed wide awake, looking for the threat that attacked him. Fergus, calm down. I'm here. Fergus looked over to Aiden. Aiden, what's going on? Aiden didn't say anything, just hugged him. There's so much I need to tell you, but here is not the place. Where are we? The Kokari Wilds. The stranger answered, pushing the men toward the exit. Thank you for taking care of him. We will take our leave. This man was fast. I haven't spoken a word since he's been here. Shouldn't I thank them? Fergus asked. Thank them from the car, as we drive away, he said, pushing him out the door. Mother seems to be getting annoyed with this man. At first, she found him humorous, but now that he's pushing him out with barely a good morn, she seems to find this man to be an annoyance. It is quite rude to leave without exchanging pleasantries, she spoke. Sorry, hello, I go by a name, I live on the planet, and your hair is very nice, he said, getting them all out of the house. The elf was already at the car, waving at them to hurry up. That elf knows something. I believe I am due a favor, she said, following him out. Well, that's a nice belief, and I would love to hear it, but, we need to get going, busy, blight and all. Wardens are needed. He practically threw Fergus onto his car. His dog jumped onto Fergus and stepped into the seat next to him. What is this thing? Fergus asked. That's a good question. I also wish to know. I'll explain later, the man said. Aiden finally broke away from all the pushing. Enough. You're being very rude. These women saved my brother's life. The least we can do is listen to them. The stranger did not seem to agree with that. Thank you, young man. It seems like at least one of you was raised with manner, Mother huffed. I was raised to never listen to strange women I meet in the woods, the man said. Agreement, stated the elf from his seat. Enough. Please tell me how we could repay you for what you've done. There's some proper manners. We, spoke up the elf and the man at the same time. The dog whined, rolling its head in confusion. Yes, we. As you can see, I am an old woman, Mother started. You don't say, whispered the man. And I don't have long for this world. She continued like he wasn't there. But my daughter is young and full of magic. Where are you going with this, you old crone? She would be a great help against the blight. Really, Mother, that's the best you can come up with. And who would take care of you? She waved me away. I already told you I'm going to join the Chassid as they leave the wilds. You go and have your adventure. That's it, full stop, no more. Give me something to work with. Morrigan, I looked over to Aiden. Do you want to come? This will be dangerous. No, it's okay. Invite whoever you want to my home, thanks for asking. The man muttered. I feel like it would be best to go with you. The Chassid would find a young girl like me to be most desirable. I gave a slight whimper. Aiden immediately surrounded me in his strangely large and warm arms. I heard the stranger groan. Just get on already. Hurry up, before I leave you both. He screamed. He pointed at Aiden. Your white knight attitude is going to get us in a buttload of trouble. I can see it now. At least when I help people, I don't fall for the classic damsel in distress act. And what are you still doing standing around like a lost child? Go get your shit, we're leaving. I jumped and turned to get my things only to find Mother with all my belongings in a sack next to me. Have a fun trip. Don't get eaten by a dragon, she whispered. Stay safe, and don't get eaten by a bear, I whispered. As I walked to the car, Aiden opened the door for me. How romantic. I sat on the surprisingly comfortable chair. Aiden, of course, sat next to me. The stranger adjusted what seemed to be a mirror to look directly at me. Hey, you're not scared of heights, are you? I gave him a non-committal shrug.